Pieces to start with the star booms. Let's just try to make this easier. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go live today. I channeled this message during meditation, and the only reason why I feel like it's important that I share it is because there's so many people who are processing the final break, is what I just heard. And I feel like it's not necessarily a breakaway. I feel like it's a breakthrough. And because of that, there are certain circumstances where we have to change our perspective, where we have to change how we're seeing things, how we're doing things, how it is that we're being in them. A lot of times we don't know. We don't know what's occurring. Usually, y'all, I don't use tarot, but a lot of times because my messages are channeled, I like to get cards to basically confirm the information that I'm sharing. Um, the last seed, so the case of the last seed, there is and has been a reckoning going across, the nation. Oh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Um, Spirit be spiriting. Okay. There has been many circumstances, right, where we have the opportunity to redeem parts of ourselves in interpreting our circumstances at a different rate because we allow ourselves to have the opportunity to gain a deeper perspective of what it is that is occurring within our circumstance, within our life, in our life, okay? And in that, there are so many, I'm seeing like requests to co host lives. I don't know what that means. The case of the last seed is basically talking about a route that occurs with the parents, mostly with the mother, and usually with the mother due to her son. For me, it wasn't that circumstance, but I'm not necessarily just speaking off of personal experience. I'm speaking off of a way of regulating how you perceive what has occurred and why it is that it's difficult sometimes to combat this. A lot of the times when you're dealing with the sowing of the last seed, there are certain parents who come to an understanding that their last hope is basically their child. And because they've made this the decision, right? They've made the decision to be at this rate with themselves. They are not willing to allow themselves the ability to see what it looks like for them to pour into their own dreams, see what it looks like for them to be within the space where they've actually made and decided things for themselves. Um, there is a particular rate of experience that occurs a lot of the times when we don't allow ourselves to be truthful in what it is that's happening. And it's hard to be the child who actually lived with the parent who decided that the last seed had been sown. When I talk about seeds, y'all, I'm talking about your God given birthright to be able to go after a purposeful, passionate life that you've decided is most in alignment with you. All right. And if you're at a rate with yourself where you've made the decision that your kid now is the bearer of your dreams, you've released certain rates of passion that you won't be able to experience based off of you having or being in the pursuit of what it is that will bring you your heart's desires. There's this glass thing, they called it secondhand. um what did they call it? I wrote all of this down, y'all, and I want to get it right because a lot of the times we get online, y'all, and because we've been through circumstances and we're aware and we have rates of understanding, sometimes we'll share our pain. And Spirit don't want that for us. Spirit doesn't want us to continue to render ourselves defeated, are wounded. We get to be whole beings. We get to be whole in what it is that we're processing, what it is that we're going through. We get to be whole in how it is that we're interpreting what it is that we're going through. And when we're sharing, we get to be whole in that aspect as well. So they got called it, yes, oh, that's perfect. They called it secondhand matter. They said to their child's happiness, or they become the lack of experience, which is a permanent blockage to their offspring due to the third wheel syndrome, are the no show, no support, no help, no heart mode when not considered to be part of the plan. So what they're saying is there are spaces and opportunities where you would get a nurturing parent, where you would get a parent that shows up, where you would get quality of having a certain type of experience. And because your parent made the decision that you are the bearer of their seed, the bearer of their dreams, they surrender what they would be in pursuit of, and then they want to live it out through you. And if you're a kid who makes decisions, which most of the light beings, most of the chosen ones, most of the people who've awakened and have awareness to themselves at this point, when you started to make certain decisions for yourself, they may not necessarily be part of the plan because they're not necessarily in a dreamer's posture, right? They're not in a dreamer's heart posture to where they could even perceive the choices that you're making. They may perceive them to be selfish. And the problem isn't really this, because we could get to a certain rate where we accept, we understand, and we learn that whatever decisions anybody makes is the decisions of their own. What becomes the difficult thing is that on the surface, okay, you see a parent who basically is a loving, doting parent on the surface, all right? They're willing to sacrifice and give for you, and in the idea of pursuing their dreams or lost dreams thereof through the lens of their child, all right? But you don't see right off, okay, the truth that's like laying under that. There's punishment there, okay? And the punishment is of not doing they seed justice, okay? So they've conditioned you, all right, to basically take the seed that they've planted inside of you. And when you get to a certain rate with yourself, it's important for you to recognize, and we start to recognize it. I don't like reading off of it because then I get caught off. We start to recognize it when we're at this rate with ourselves where we recognize, okay, I'm not necessarily in pursuit of what makes me happy. And you want to make these changes. You want to get to a certain rate with yourself. You want to get to acknowledge what it is that you're desiring. Sometimes you're not even aware that you're actually working through um, past life energies, right? And past lives could be so many things. A lot of people just apply it to like reincarnation. You have past lives in this life. When you've moved away from something, you've graduated from something, you have basically put this in a place and in a trajectory to where there's a viewpoint of it, but you're not stationed with it. And it becomes something of the past. But I believe the past to be a great teacher. And the reason is for one, the numerology of it. It's an 11-2 number. All right. But two, 11 is a master number. Two is an intuitive number. So you have major leadership in intuition. It's a divinely nurturing, intelligent, informational space to be in when you're dealing with your past. And the reason why is you deal with your past by healing your present circumstances and how you're perceiving what it is that you've been through. A lot of these like rates that we get on social media where we start sharing how it is that we're perceiving our world, how it is that we're going through whatever it is that we're going through. A lot of people, like I said, it's like trauma dumping, it's womb binding. Like you have a certain experience that you've had, you know, somebody who's had this experience, you want to be at a rate to where you have an open journal for these spaces, but sometimes it doesn't facilitate healing. And a lot of the times when you're not at a rate to where you're actually healing through your perceived perception of what you went through, you get stuck in station and it becomes even more difficult. Like I said, when you are the kid who basically is the bearer of the last seed and It's not a bad thing. It's just you need to know this, okay? You need to know this. You will make yourself feel bad, okay? And I'm speaking to masculine energy for some reason. You will make yourself feel bad because you will look at your parent as a parent who put everything aside for you to be where you're at. Okay, you see them sacrifice so much. You see them work so many jobs. You see them in encompass so many things. They've been so present with you, doing the things that they've conditioned and they've seeded in you. And then a lot of the times when you start to make the decisions, oh, well, I know I went to school for this because my family wanted me to do this, but this is what I feel called to. You become a villain in their eyes because you stop living out their dream, and it makes you feel wrong. I'm wanting to come online to say it is not wrong for you to first one to decide that you're not the bearer of anybody else's anything. Okay, we have to be at a space to where we start recognizing that we get to release burdens that people want to place on us continually. All right, you have to understand a lot of the times you've been placed in a circumstance to where you are compliant with what you've been conditioned to believe. And if you don't get yourself at a rate to where you get to be like what the card says, it's so crazy that it says it, be like your spirit guide. A lot of the times you don't have the opportunity to see where it is that you're taking you, even with your mindset, even with your thought processes. Okay, a lot of the times we see ourselves less than because we've been in a circumstance to where we constantly, instead of surrendering to the divine, instead of surrendering to higher perspective, instead of surrendering to higher guidance, we'll surrender to family guidelines, family protocols. We'll surrender to insecurities like emotions and shit like that. Okay, a lot of the times you have the ability to make the change and to make the adjustments just by being coherent and operating in the space where you're leading you to the new thing that you're asking for. But if you've convinced yourself that you have to basically do something because this is what you need to do, this is what you've been taught, this is what you've always done, you won't be able to be in the new rate. And it's required at this point. Why? Because a lot of people are going through breakthrough stations. You're going through breakthrough stations. All of these things that you've been perceiving. We have eclipse coming up, y'all. There's a lot of things energetically that are happening with people, and it's such on a subtle level, but it's energy, right? You get to feel it. And a lot of us don't have a choice but to feel it because we've censored ourselves or we've allowed ourselves to be open and aware to the sensitivity of our being in our vessel. All right. I just wanted to share that. Okay. I don't want it to be too dark or too heavy. Spirit is saying, speak your truth with passion and recognize that passion only exists in those who are truly choosing. Okay. If you aren't choosing and making a decision and you're surrendering your choices to whatever, you're surrendering your choice to in circumstances, you're surrendering your choice to thought processes, you're surrendering your choices to patterns, you're surrendering your choices to a defeat or a lack mindset, you're surrendering your choices to environmental, circumstances, then you are surrendering your opportunity to be at a rate within yourself to where you could fully be in that wand energy, to be in your fire, to be in your actual what's going to bring forth what it is that you're calling forth right now. Okay. And then when it feels right, do it. When it feels right, do it. Okay. Stop waiting. Waiting sucks. It feels yucky. It's not something that is we're taught to be patient as spiritual beings, but to be in a waiting spirit is contradictory because a lot of the times we become aware once we've allowed ourselves to sit within ourselves and become more aware of ourselves. We become aware of a knowing that nothing is really separate from us. So you're never really waiting on anything other than you to make the decision that you're ready. All right. Another thing that I wanted to say is trust in wise spirits and your prayers will be answered. A lot of the times we go into spiritual connections and spiritual contracts. We go into physical contracts. We go into connection with other beings, period. And a lot of the times we aren't actually wanting to be specific about it because we want to get anything. We be so desperate sometimes just to get some type of communication back that we'll go and we'll connect with anything. Spirit wants us to be at a rate to where we trust in wise spirits and your prayers will be answered. Most of the time, those wise spirits are going to be your assigned. Okay, they're assigned to you. You have assigned spirit guides. You have assigned angels. You have assigned ancestors. All your ancestors is not for you, and all of them should not be on some altar. They should not be present in your home. Be mindful of the things that you watch, social media, that you go into classes and listen and perceive. Take everything that you receive at this point with a grain of salt, not wanting to make it bitter, but wanting to be at a rate to where you go back within yourself, take it to spirit, and you make an intention to make sure that whatever it is that you're perceiving to be a message for you, that it be aligned with where you are right now. Sometimes you just need to hear something. This might be something that you just need to hear. You might be in a circumstance where you are experiencing the case of the last seed. If you are, release yourself from this conditioning. Release yourself from this conditioning. First of all, forgive the parent for making the decision because they did what they thought was best. And a lot of times when we're dealing with inner child healing, we get stuck on the action in the event that occurred and we don't free ourselves from that situation, okay? You get to free yourself by one, forgiving yourself and being in a space for however long that you were in that space, but also by releasing the burden of wanting to have or seek vengeance, wanting to place blame, and actually allowing yourself to see what it is that was meant. I could see through all of the things, regardless of attacks, regardless of death, desire to become over me, regardless of the hurt, the pain, the essay, all of the stuff that happened and occurred. I know and I understand that there was always an attempt to suppress something that's already awakened. A lot of the times you don't know why people come up against you, especially when it's in your family, right? You don't know why they come up against you, but you'll recognize the more you go through the process of dreaming, going towards what it is that you desire, succeeding at that thing, okay, you'll see that they actually never had the power. You surrendered your power by allowing yourself to be compliant in the conditioning that allowed you to be at the rate that confused you. That's why we forgive ourselves first. That's why we hold ourselves with a certain rate of grace and mercy and allow ourselves to be in the experience of what it is that we're becoming aware of. Because we just don't know sometimes. And when you become to a space to where, which a lot of us are on a universal playing field, okay? We're becoming to a state, whether you believe you're spiritual or not, where we're being aware of the things that have placed and been in our surroundings, right? And it's been dormant. And the only reason why it's been dormant is because sometimes we allow titles, all right, to become our way of respecting and honoring certain positions and people. And we keep people in certain proximities of us because of said titles. So because this is my mom, I have to do this because this is my mom. But when in reality, there could be circumstances where mom might not necessarily be in alignment with where you are right now in your life. Okay, this is my dad. I have to keep this because I'm only going to get one dad. This lack and this desperation to keep this person close to you because of this title, yet it's only actually held up on one end. When you recognize that you went through certain traumas, you've allowed yourself to be that voice for your inner child. You've created a circumstance to where you're healing the distance that you've allowed to occur between you and your younger self, all right? And you're now step in step with yourself. It's a certain rate that you're going to have to sit within yourself, and it's certain people that you're going to have to release. This is not, cutting people off. Releasing, letting go of has nothing to do with cutting off. You allow that to be spirit. And the reason why you allow that to be spirit, y'all, is because a lot of the times people will not be able to actually go to the heights that you're going to when you're doing and moving at a way to where you're being soul led and spirit aligned. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to share too much. I don't want to be on here too long. I just wanted to be in a space to where I make you aware of, one, you're not crazy. You don't feel bad about changing your way of going, okay? If the world around you seems turbulent, just stop, pause for a second, okay? And the reason why you're pausing is because you want to give yourself an opportunity to grasp and gain a different perspective. And a lot of that sometimes is positioning. The reason why Spirit said sometimes you have to learn how to be like your spirit guide is because you want to know what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, and recognize that there's no coincidences. All right. There's always intentions behind all of the things that we're experiencing. Okay. Um, be, be intentional about what you're putting in your body. Be intentional about what you're consuming in your mind. TikTok is different for me because it becomes like just a lot of y'all on here all at once. And yeah, so that's that. I want it to be at a rate to where I share coherent with what it is that's actually going to be beneficial. And a lot of the times, people don't recognize why their dreams are lost. Sometimes your dream is lost because you are holding on to the dream of a parent who decided that you were the bearer of their last seed. When you recognize that you're here to have a soul-led experience, you recognize how infinite you are, okay? How much untapped, potential you have, how many infinite possibilities occur within you, okay? And forbidding yourself, to be at this rate where you get to decide, you start to become at a rate to where you help you demonize you making decisions that are best aligned for you because of the people who've decided that they're not going to decide what they need to do for themselves because they surrendered their choice when they had you. Okay. This could be guardians. This could be circumstances that are far beyond, our reach. There's a lot of circumstances in families where families show up, and it's never to demonize the person who's made this decision. It's for you to gain awareness and for you to move according to what it is that you feel called to. Y'all have some callings and you're receiving a breakthrough. Spirit is literally coming in, and the way the spirit is coming in is through. All right. And a lot of the times we be so animated with shit that we be wanting stuff to be like at this like imaginary rate where we're allowing ourselves to believe that there's going to be something that's going to happen. There's some big event. A lot of the times you're not recognizing the big event is within. It's happening eternally. And if you don't allow yourself to perceive the change that's occurred, you will constantly keep on looping through patterns, okay? Compliant to these patterns because you've been conditioned to think that this is the only way. I have to do what this person says because this person has always been there. Nobody has done for me the way that this family member has done for me. Nobody has done for me the way that this person has done for me. Allow yourself to be in the freedom of choosing different upon you receiving a different thought process that renders you to actually will from within, to beam, to light up from within. Ooh, I have a spark of inspiration and I get to follow that. Regardless of whatever thing previously inspired me, you will be inspired if you allow. You will be inspired by many things. You will be enlightened by many experiences. You will have the opportunity to go through many changes, many channels. And if you force yourself to be stationed where you found yourself to be conditioned at, you don't allow yourself to retrieve the proper posture when you're gaining your footing, coming into these new corridors that we're going to be ushered into, to be honest. Um, Spirit said the breakthrough is inevitable. Okay. And because you're at this rate of inevitable change, be consistent with yourself. One, in recognizing that there's no rush. The only time becomes a problem is for those who count time, avoiding the conscious behavior that they're making in deciding in time. Okay. A lot of the times when you are with time, you're aware that time is present with you. Time is on your side because you honor it, because you respect it. So you get to give yourself grace. Today feels weird. I'm going to take a step back. All right. I keep on coming into occurrences. There keeps on seeming to be resistance here. I'm going to pause. All right. As the divine Black woman, okay, I'll say Black because that's, you know, giving yourself the ability to rest, allowing yourself to take a beat, allowing yourself to take a vacation, planning for you to have relaxed moments in your vessel, allows you to start to guide yourself at this new rate where you are allowing your nervous system to become at a rate to where it needs to be. Why is it such an important thing for the nervous system to become calm, for you to loosen your grasp on this space? Is because your pineal glands, okay, that is stationed in the back of your head, is one of the most sensitive nerves in your body. And a lot of things, fluoride, there's a lot of things, okay, that are being pumped into us right now to shut down our rate of being able to experience the light that God put inside of us. Okay, God put a light in me. And if I put myself in a position to where I don't honor this space, then I'm putting myself in the condition to where I don't get to live out the rate of experience that I've been manifesting, that I've been asking for, that I've been desiring for. Um, yeah, and we don't have to do that no more, okay? I want y'all to be intentional about how it is that y'all making connections. Be open to connecting, but heal at a rate to where you recognize the patterns, where you understand and receive the whys too. And sometimes the whys don't come immediately, but having a knowing of something and grasping what it is and what it was meant for you and being able to ascertain that rate of it will lead you to the why down the line, okay? Stay open to receiving and perceiving differently. Allow yourself to recognize that you are a star that is blooming at a new rate in this new vessel that you've acquired, okay? And be at a rate of experiencing yourself differently. Not the way that you've been perceived, not the way that other people have told you you have to show up, not in the position that people have chosen for you, but be in the rate of experience of what you desired, what you've acquired, and what you went after in pursuit of what you're most passionate about. I love y'all. Peace. Have a dope day. I got multiple apps here and live.